Secretary General to hand over a bouquet.
Yeah. May I request the General Secretary, Hyderabad City Security Council, to please come up and welcome Mr. Mahesh Bhagwat Garu with a bouquet. Ladies and gentlemen, our next panelist, Mr. Vishwanath Katti, is a renowned security expert with over 45 years of experience in the industry. He holds a graduate degree in criminology and forensic science, making him a unique leader in the field. As chairman and managing director of Guardwell Prime Services, he has built a brand synonymous with excellence. His contributions have made him an icon in the security industry. I invite Shri Vishwanath Katti Garu on the stage. Thank you, sir.
Shri K. Srikanth, Executive Committee Member of HCSC, to hand over.
May I request Shri K. Srikanth Garu, Executive Committee Member of HCSC, to please welcome Mr. Vishwanath Katti Garu with a bouquet. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Suraj Sukhpal, Corporate Security Director, India and Philippines, and Senior Vice President, Corporate Security, Wells Fargo International Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Suraj is a seasoned security, risk and intelligence professional with 18 plus years of experience. Mr. Suraj is a respected expert in his field. Welcome, Mr. Suraj Sukhpal Garu. I beg your pardon.
Mr. Mohammed Salman, EC Member of HCSC.
I request Mr. Mohammed Salman Garu, EC Executive Committee Member, HCSC, to please hand over a bouquet and welcome Shri Suraj Sukhpal Garu. Ladies and gentlemen, our next panelist for the discussion is Captain Sanjay Sharma, Global Security Head, Wipro. Captain Sanjay Sharma is a visionary thought leader in global corporate security and brings along nearly 3 decades of rich domain experience. He has also been recognized as the top CSO in India by Startup Lanes. He is experienced in managing corporate security program in diverse cultural and legal environment globally. He is passionate about building relationships of trust with C-suite executives, academia, and global security partners. I invite Captain Sanjay Sharma Garu on the stage. May I request Srimati Geeta Goti Garu to please present a bouquet to Captain Sanjay Sharma and welcome him. I invite the moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. G.B. Singh. Though he does not need any further introduction, but at the cost of repetition, I would like to emphasize that Mr. G.B. Singh is an accomplished entrepreneur with 3 decades of experience in private security industry. He is a renowned keynote speaker and a moderator at professional security events and a recognized security evangelist. I invite Mr. G.B. Singh on the stage. May I request Shri Gajarao Gopal Garu, Joint Commissioner, to kindly come up on the stage and present a bouquet to our moderator, Mr. G.B. Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over to Mr. GB Singh, wishing everyone a happy interaction among the panelists. Thank you.
A very good morning, Hyderabad. Not enough energy. Good morning, Hyderabad. Good morning. That's it. That's the spirit. So, I would like to thank the organizers, the associations which have worked with the law enforcement and the government to have given their consent to participate in this very important meeting, which highlights our profession of security, whether it's private or it's public. The goal is common to both, to safeguard the lives and property of every citizen so that they can live with their head held high and without fear. Security is the basic need of any human being. If security is not there, the fun of living just goes away. There is no life living under fear. However, unfortunately, due to criminal elements who usually are born or acquire a warped mindset, this situation of tranquility and living without fear is at times violated, and that's where we need assistance both from the state law and order machinery as well as the private sector, which comprises, as we hear, about 20,000 security man-guarding agencies in India. And of course, there is the huge technology sector around security, which is there to support this ecosystem between the law enforcement and the security agencies, with their gadgetry like CCTV cameras, breath analyzers, X-ray machines, metal detectors. Those are implements and aids, but again, towards achieving the same goal, that of restoring peace and tranquility in the lives of every citizen. Today, we have with us a very august panel. The introductions have already been made by our Master of Ceremony. However, I will just like to highlight the different domains which they come from. Kati Saab, he's been a doyen in the industry for many years, represents an association which is spread pan-India. We have Kumar Shri Vikram Singh ji sitting here, the chairman of the association. He also runs his own business and has been in the industry for many years and has the experience to carry that with him. We have Captain Suraj Shankpal, who represents the corporate sector, which is a very important burgeoning sector, especially considering cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore and Gurgaon, which are more IT-centric and tech-centric cities emerging in India, Pune as well, and where a lot of multinational companies come in. Suraj represents financial services, a global financial services company, and as we all know, the kind of frauds which have begun happening because of cyber elements now, and especially, bank accounts getting cleaned with one WhatsApp message or one SMS message. That's a new menace that we need to contend with. So Suraj possibly will enlighten us and educate us on the kind of aspects which impact that side of the business. We have Captain Sanjay Sharma, who a veteran of the private security industry, and he represents an organization which is a global organization, an Indian multinational with thousands of people working in it and looking after the information technology and the security aspects attached to that area. Since everything is getting centralized around smartphones and computing, and in particular cloud computing, the aspects of information technology security are and should be at the top of the risks which we all run, because today I don't think so there's anybody in this room who does not have a smartphone with him. And when you are connected, you are open to various risks. And last but not the least, we have Shri Mahesh Bhagwatji, whose responsibility is to maintain law and order in the state. And the kind of changes which he may have seen in his policing career from when he started and to where the situation is now, the kind of cases which were coming years back and the kind of cases which are cropping up today regularly, I'm sure he will put some light in that area and tell us something about how the situation has changed over the years and what are his issues that he faces, and also where he thinks that the private sector, which is the man-guarding sector as well as the private technology sector, can come to the aid of the public security administration, law enforcement, to, again, I come back to ensure the goal that every citizen lives a life free from fear. So I will, without taking more time, would request Shri Mahesh Bhagwatji to please tell us on this and speak on this aspect.
First of all, my gratitude to Commissioner of Police Hyderabad, our DG Sri Revanth Reddy garu, then our retired IPS officer who is a panelist in the next session, C.R. Naidu sir, then the founder of this Hyderabad Security Council, Bhatti garu, then all my colleagues from the Hyderabad City Police, the Private Security Agency Association here in Hyderabad, all the members gathered from different part, then the moderator of today's session, Sri G.B. Singh garu, the co-panelist, Vishwanath Katti, Suraj Sankpal, Captain Sanjay Sharma garu. Good morning to all of you. I will answer this question in two parts. The first question was regarding the challenges now that we are facing, and second part is the expectation part. Now coming to the first part, that is the challenges. This is almost now 1995 I joined. It's 29 year of service so far I have completed, and worked in Manipur in the beginning for 2 years. Then I was in United Andhra Pradesh, and then now in Telangana. And in this scenario, what we have seen, initially we were fighting with the insurgency, then with the Naxalites, then some part of even the terror elements here in Hyderabad, and now we are fighting mostly with the cyber criminal. So one of my predecessor, he used to say that we have come from cycle patrol to cyber patrol today. So this is the change actually in the security scenario of a country. Everything now is related to cyber safety, cyber security mostly, and the use of technology in the security now, it's inevitable. We have seen now how the CCTV cameras are getting installed by everyone, even the private people. They are installing the CCTV cameras. Fortunately, in the state of Telangana, also in Andhra Pradesh, we have Public Safety Enforcement Act. And as per this act, any establishment having 100 or more than 100 employees, compulsory they have to install CCTV camera, and whenever the police are requesting 15 days footage, they have to share with them. And that's the reason the Hyderabad is one such city now where more than 6 to 7 lakh CCTV camera you can see here. The two type of cameras that we have here now, one is the mostly those cameras installed by the civilians on their own, and that we have geotag. And the secondly, the cameras where the community has raised the fund, or the CSR of the private companies, or the funds through the member of parliament, member of legislative assembly. And in that way now, those cameras, we have done the networking also. The place where we are sitting today, this is the integrated command and control center, and this center is basically for that purpose, to integrate all the CCTV cameras which are installed here in the city and surrounding, and to monitor from this place, and this work is now in progress. Coming to the challenges as such, the Hyderabad city, if we see, we have seen right from the Naxalism, because we lost 2 IPS officers here in Hyderabad city. 1992, I think, our Vyas sir, and 99, Umesh Chandra sir. Then coming to the incident of a communal, many communal riots happen here. Fortunately, after formation of the new state, the situation is under control on the communal front. Similarly, the terrorist front also, we have many incidents, not in now the new state, but before that, The last incident was 21st of February 2013, where Dilsukh Nagar, we had a major bomb blast and many people died in that. Plus we had couple of incidents before that also. We have Lumbini Park, then the Gokul Chat and then Makkah Masjid and many places we had such incident related to terror here. So the security here, the scenario from the extremist angle, from the terrorist angle and from those anti-socials also there, that angle. Nowadays the organized gangs also, they are here, they are operating, and that angle also we have to face those challenges. The major challenge that we face is basically how to motivate citizens, how to bring them on one platform. It has been said by Napoleon Bonaparte that it's not the activity of the rascals that destroys our society, but for the inactivity of the good people. The inactiveness of the good people, that is a major challenge. How to motivate them? Anything happening here? Here we have a Hussain Sagar lake. Every day almost one person trying to jump in the lake and attempt to commit suicide, and we have trained people, they save them. But what remaining people are doing? Immediately they will take the mobile and they will do the recording and they will put live sometimes, they will put it on social media that I am the first person to record it. I am not the first saver, I am the first recorder. This is the situation. How to motivate such people who are on the fence to participate in the security and the safety process of our own nation? That is the biggest challenge, I think. 9/11 happened in 2001. 2004, our government has sent few police officers to America for anti-terrorism assistance training program. I was one of them. After that training program, since that time the Naxalism was on its peak, I too had a security threat. I went to a local shop by name Kaufman in New Jersey to purchase a bulletproof jacket. Jacket was available there, but the shopkeeper simply denied. He said no. And not only that, he came out and he has noted down the vehicle number of my friend's vehicle. You please tell me, is it possible here? If the bulletproof jacket is not available in my shop, I will say, wait for 10 minutes, I will procure, and how many you want, when you want, immediately. The professional interest and the national interest, these are two important things. And the America after 9/11, we must learn that they have accepted now that the national interest is always important than the professional interest. So we have to work for the national interest, that motivation should come amongst the citizen for that. And here the role of private security agencies is very, very important, I would say. We got this PASARA, Private Security Agencies Regulation Act 2005. Then after 2015, I was in the intelligence security wing from 2013 to 16, 3 years almost. We started giving licenses to the security agencies. We were the midway between our Home Secretary and the units. Our was the middle level agency, and our job was to coordinate and to ensure how smoothly these licenses are handed over to the security agency by verifying the antecedents of all those personnel working with them, facilitating them for the training purpose. And we have achieved to a biggest extent in that way. Since that year, I am in constant touch with our private security agency association here in this United States as well as now in the Telangana state also, and I must appreciate they are doing really a good job. As a first responder, the private security agency, the role is very, very important. Anything happening there in your vicinity, till the police comes, the protecting the scene, that is the first expectation from all of us. You must protest as a first responder, and here you are empowered for that also. If you see the act, our Private Security Agency Regulation Act, in the section 18, it has very much mentioned in the clause 2 and clause 3, it is your bounden duty to cooperate with the police for the investigation. If there is anything happening which is against the law, either through your supervisor, through the company, those officials, or on your own, you should inform to the police. That is also mentioned in section 18 clause 3 of the Pasara Act that we must not forget. Here one expectation from all the security agencies, first of all, the license, you must have the license. Secondly, the training and capacity building of the personnel who are working, we must train them. Third is now it is not era of customer satisfaction, now it is a customer delighting. So the soft skills, how our people are speaking, whether they know the law of the land or not, that is very, very important. The locally here in Hyderabad, okay, Hindi, yes, English somewhat, but if the outskirts are there where you must know little bit of Telugu, otherwise that communication gap will happen while dissemination of information also. So my request to the agencies who are operating in the outskirts, mostly the Telugu speaking area, you must ensure that the people who you are deploying have some Telugu speaking people there, or start imparting the lessons in Telugu classes, and also about the local culture here, local customs here. That is very, very important. I just want to tell you that lack of knowledge of the local culture, how we suffer. I joined Manipur in 1997 as an assistant superintendent of police. I was under trainee in the police station as a SHO, and I got a phone call that one girl got kidnapped, and 4 youth they have kidnapped, and I got the vehicle number also. So immediately I took my vehicle, my staff, and we chased 4 kilometers. We caught them. We have rescued that girl, brought to the police station, and I rang my SP that, sir, we have done the good work today. I have rescued one girl. Then my SP started laughing. He said, I also married like this only. So this was a tradition there. The marriage was by kidnapping, elopement. And I was not knowing because no one taught us in academy and all. So I thought I have done a great job. And then of course, then I said, why sir FIR and why this kidnapping complaint? They said, this is the procedure here. The FIR should be there, then both the parties will come, they will produce the certificate that we are major. Then after that, girl will be taken to the parents' home. After 3-4 days, there will be regular marriage. So this is a custom. So knowing the law of the land is very, very important for all the security agencies. When you are working in any state of India, that is my only request. Recently I came across some new terms in the security, like the guard deployment factor and guard attribution rate. So these two terms, the co-panelists here, I would like to learn from them how they are working on these two terms, guard deployment factor and guard attribution rate, while deploying your security personnel here. But otherwise, my request to all of you once again, that please keep in touch with your local police station. The SHO of the police station is the most important person to whom you should keep in touch, because he is the person, he is the first responder immediately from the police station who will come to your rescue, and then have some WhatsApp group where your number, the police number, they are there. Also teach your staff on emergency contacts, like the dial 100 of police, dial 112 number, or other numbers, emergency numbers, how to exchange the fire department emergency number and other. Please enlighten them on that also. That is also expectation from all of you. And any of the member of your agency, if you are finding them that they are into adverse notice, they are doing something wrong, don't forget that you should inform police, because tomorrow if something happen, then ultimately for the abatement, for the screening of the offense and other purposes, you may held responsible. So thank you GB Singh sir for giving me this opportunity. Good day.
So those were very valid points made by Bhagwatji, and the question that has emerged out of his talk is directed towards the agencies. So I will move on to Katiji, sitting on my left, to tell us something about, because the customers usually have some expectations from their security agencies. And if you look at or try to understand the other side, the service providers usually also have to operate under certain constraints. So it's best that both sides understand the problems of their partners, I will call them partners, in security. Because if we do not understand, if an army man does not understand the problems of his Jawan, or the senior police officer does not understand the problems of his constable, the delivery to the public or the nation would not be of top quality. So with that, I will ask Katiji to throw some light on, he has seen the industry evolve over many years, to tell us what is the change which is happening, what the customers are asking for today, and what may be the constraints of the industry in trying to deliver that. Kati sir.
Thank you, GB. Hello. Firstly, I think, as GB sir said, I would dwell upon the evolution of the security companies or security business. For having been in the industry for 45 years. 1980, I did my BSc in Criminology and Forensic Science. As a youngster, I had always a fantasy that I would become a James Bond, seeing James Bond movies. And I did apply for private detective jobs in Bangalore. I was given a job. I didn't see any unemployment, luckily. Those days, unemployment was the biggest problem. But then we were only asked to go to the market, get Vicks ka sample leke aa jao, Amrutanjan ka sample leke aa jao, and all these kind of investigations. Because as such, even today, I don't say, but South has always been a very conservative kind of market as far as private detective is concerned. Not much of pre or post matrimonial and those kind of things, but now it's a big business in, at least in South, I say. So I've got this job, and I was, because the detective business was not doing so very well, I was, I think, forced or pushed to security industry. I was forced to learn security business, which was totally a new thing, because in criminology those days they didn't teach us what is industrial security. We were only focusing on the criminal part, criminal investigation, psychology, those kind of things. Yes, that was a good experience. I saw this industry was a mere watchman industry. 80s में क्या होता था, सुबह वो एक खाकी यूनिफॉर्म पहनने का है, रात को उधर ही सोने का है. That was the industry, and there was no cost as such or any such thing. Whatever you quote is your price. What you pay is, nobody asks you. But then I think I would say somewhere during 85, 90s I would say, especially I think Wipros or Infosys or many of those corporates, when they came to Bangalore, the whole, I think the fundamentals of the security changed. This was one, I think, time, it was other way around, the customers were willing to pay because these people always respected the law of the land. Still, the security industry was not very much regulated, but then these people were looking for quality. That quantity business went off. They said, Mr. Katti, this is what we want. And so, to some extent, I would say, one of the big multinationals called me and said, I want English-speaking guards. I said, sir, वो English बात करता है तो security guard क्यों बनेगा? He will never become a security guard. But then, Mr. Katti, we are willing to pay you. So that's the, I think, first transformation that happened to the industry. Very few quality players those days. I still remember max about 5 to 6 of them were there in the industry. But then we took it as a challenge. We really started catering to the customers' needs. Then came the regulation, the Pasara in 2005. This Pasara also was welcome, but to the extent we all felt that somewhere it was draconian. Because if a guard does a wrong thing, the managing director will be arrested. The worst part was if a company applies for a license in, say, across India, say 5 states, every month a cop would come to my house, sir, for the police verification. My neighbor would ask, Katti sahab, kya hua hai karke? Why these cops are coming to your house every now and then? This is for the background verification, they used to come. So these are some of those issues we had, I think, in somewhere in 2018 or 20, there was an amendment with the, I think, continuous follow-up by the CAPSI leadership team at Delhi. We did get the amendments done. Now I think things look pretty okay. I don't say it's good, but pretty okay. Where the guard once trained in any other state can be considered as a trained guard in other states. The same way the verification is also there. So this is one regulation thing which really did wonders. At least the industry got some recognition, I would say the recognition of having licensed guard, licensed security company, which still I think a lot of effort has to be put in by the Home Ministry to ensure that unlicensed agencies are much bigger in number than the numbers what we have the licensed sector. Of course, the training is a biggest, I think we have a challenge right now. But then with whatever resources the agencies could muster, it's not easy to have 2 acres of land in a city like Bangalore or Hyderabad, where I set up my own training center. The kind of resources what bigger agencies find, but the startup companies will have a bigger challenge. But then I think now we can have MOUs with the training centers where they already have established training centers. This is another thing which has really done good for the industry. But then now, the real transition of the industry comes in with Wells Fargo sitting there, Wipro sitting there. These are guys, I think, are typically technology. Katti sahab, if you bring in technology, how many guards you are going to reduce? This is the first question everybody has. This is the first question. I said, see, first of all, sir, जो भी CCTV में जो चोरी करते हुए देख रहा है, somebody is seeing, the guard has to go after him. It's not the CCTV goes and catches him. Of course, the best thing that can happen to the industry is the efficiency goes. It's much better. It's much better because of the assistance of all this technology which is there. You look at, I happened to visit one of the multinational auto manufacturing company about 7-8 years back, sir. It was those talking cameras, AI cameras I could see. A guy sitting in a control center, huge, about 80 to 100 acres of plant, where many places we are not in a position to deploy security people physically. But then these cameras do help us when there is any break-in, or even if there's a movement, the guy sitting at the control room gets a alert that there is some movement. So the guard in that particular zone can be alerted. So this is one thing which I think has really helped our industry in I think building up a lot of efficiency in their service deliveries. Now coming to how the security agency itself is taking care of its own men in terms of technology. Now I think there are a lot of technologies where I would say earlier my night checking, day checking nahi ho raha hai. This is the major complaint we used to have from the customer. Now we have a lot of apps which are available. A field sense where if I go to Wells Fargo, I have already geofenced that area. So my guy who goes there at 6 o'clock in the morning, at 12 o'clock midnight he goes there, he will log in. On an auto mode, a real time message goes to the customer. I also get my message there. So absolutely the activity report is drawn on a real time. And the same thing is used for my fuel reimbursement, so that there's no free meals for anybody here. Absolutely. Neither the customer wants to give me a free meal or I would like to give a free meal. The same way, the attendance monitoring now, of course, biometrics is already there, but now face recognition things have come in, which is again, at the end of the month, me and my customer are not arguing on the attendance part. This is the biggest problem we all have. I hope all my brothers agree to this. So this particular attendance, which is already been vetted or which has been certified by the customer, because it's a technology-driven attendance, the invoice is directly connected to that. My wages are connected to that. Now coming to the wages, it's very, very clean, very, very clear that it's all a cost-plus model today. There's nothing like, okay, a fixed amount is given and the fixed money is given, because minimum wages today, ESI, PF, you say the national and festival holidays, we have CL, we have PL, you name, gratuity has become, though gratuity was there, now they say it's mandatory, and we have bonus, all these things are mandatory. So being a principal employer, customer is very, very clear that he ensures that whatever the cost plus module, whatever cost he has given us, has been passed on to these guards or not. So principal employer is also happy because he is also taking care of the law of the land. Now, ESI, PF, yes, it's already there. GST is already there. The concerns here are whether all these guys who are working in your site have been covered under ESI or PF. This is another challenge my customers face. This is the first question they ask, Mr. Katti, how do you follow this? Yes, there are technology today, sir, available where I upload my ESI and PF challan into a software. The guards working in your site are highlighted. So you don't have to scan through all my 3,000, 4,000 guards or 10,000 guards. Just put your guy who will just scan those guards, whether these guards, your concern is only your guards are covered or not. So this is another technology which the industry is adopting. Last but not the least, the most neglected, I'm sorry to say this, most neglected person in my industry is my own guard. I'm sorry to say this, because he is working in some remote areas. We don't know what challenges he has. Of course, there are supervisors, there are security officers there. But to what an extent, as an owner, I have certain commitment. Does the team at this site has the same commitment level to take care of my guard? Now, if he has any challenge, because a lot of harassment happen, a lot of things happen in my industry. Now, how does this guy taken care? Have you ever thought of it? Because if he's happy, if his deliveries are good, we are sitting coolly in our air-conditioned rooms. Otherwise, we are fighting fire. Simple. As an owner of the company, I will be doing only firefighting every day. So I think there's also an app today for the guards which is available. His own ticket number is his password. The best part here is, any grievance he has, this grievance can be logged in and it directly comes to your corporate office. Probably you can overtake your branches also. So what happens? Sitting in the corporate office, you know for sure what exactly is the guard's grievance there. It can be even one day salary become aa gaya, sir. This happens in our industry. This happens in our industry. Nothing wrong in that. But then at least he knows for sure this grievance has been raised to the corporate office. And probably the same app, he gets a salary slip a day ahead of his salary, which makes my life easier more than his life, because he is happy because he knows his wages, what he is going to get tomorrow. So these are technologies, I think, which has really helped the industry, where we can control not too much of, I think, the physical involvement. The technology has really helped us to take care of our operations in a very, very effective way. In spite of that, see the training, which I was talking about, training is the biggest challenge we have, because we cater to many sectors. It's not just the software companies or financial sector. We cater to the malls, we cater to the hospitals. Now, even retail sector, if you look at, all these sectors have a different expectation or different, I think, kind of service what they require. But then we need to even look at how do we create a training manual for these particular sectors. Everything requires a different kind of training. So this is another thing, like whenever we take up a customer, I think we need to make a recce and find out what exactly is the customer expectation and what are the challenges. Say for example, if we look at retail industry, in the morning we see a lot of manpower, in the night we just have skeletal manpower because night time it's closed. And whenever there's a peak hour, naturally we need to look at what exactly are the challenges and how do we control the pilferages, especially in the retail industry. So these are some of the training things which we need to, I think, look into to make it, so the service delivery should be much, much better. As far as technology, deeply getting into technology, I think I have two of my co-panelists who will take care of this. Thank you so much again for having given me this opportunity to address you people. Thank you.
Thank you, Katiji. You spoke about the introduction of technology into the man guarding sector and how it's delivering its benefits, whether it's the guards' communication to their head office or their zonal office or their branch office. And communications is something which is very, very important, whether it's private security or it's public security or it's corporate security or it's any other corporate function. The ability to communicate clearly in the shortest manner and being lucid about what idea you want to project, I think is common to all areas, and that's one area which is most neglected, and I think we should sensitize people on the communications aspect. Talking about technology, I have to my far right Captain Sanjay Sharma, who heads the global security for an Indian multinational spread across many countries, and he faces certain technological challenges in customer delivery, and technology is become the backbone of every customer facing operation today, whether it's Uber or it's Zomato or it's Blinkit. We are enjoying as customers their deliverables only because of the technology backbone which exists, and things get delivered to us with a certain quality and on time what the customers expects today. Those are the expectations which come to the mind of every customer, and IT has been evolving at a very, very fast pace, and with that there are a lot of challenges which are cropping up in that sector. And while managing the internal challenges and the deliverables to the customers, the aspect of maintaining security within the organizations and the data which they hold of the customers is become a huge area, a critical area by itself. So I'll request, without wasting time, Captain Sanjay Sharma to throw some light about the evolving aspects of his side of business and how does private security industry interface with his business and what are his expectations from the private security agencies, and if they are not able to deliver on their own, what he or his company is doing to actually elicit that kind of response or deliverables from the agencies. Captain Sahab.
Thank you, Thank you, JB, for throwing that question to me. So Stephen Covey's one of the important habits is put first things first. So with that, let me put a disclaimer first that whatever I share here need not be held as the view of my employer. I've come here as a security professional, and the views may be more individual out of experience in the industry. The second thing is that I would like to thank Hyderabad Police, Hyderabad City Security Council, APSA, for organizing this interesting event and inviting us to come and share our views from this platform. And I would also like to thank the August gathering here from the government, military, police, the legislative side, and the private sector for giving us a very, very patient audience to enable us share our views with you. Now, in terms of the question that is placed before me is around evolution of security, how it has changed for the corporate, and what are the challenges that we experience and how do we navigate them. So, security in the corporate has transformed totally, from an erstwhile view of corporate security managers being seen as, managers of guard services. That view has totally been demolished over time, because the range of work which a corporate security function handles is far too more, from risks to technology to supplier management to business continuity, crisis management assistance, and more so important because if you are operating a global business across countries, this takes center stage furthermore. Nuances of an Indian company doing multinational operation and nuances of an American company doing business in India would be a little different. I'll purely speak from a corporate position as to what is before a corporate security team or a corporate security in charge before him. So the number one challenge faced by CSOs in today's dynamic environment is primarily on account of the traction in the geopolitical environment. So the geopolitics is changing by the day, whatever we see across the world, in Middle East or in Europe or in South Asia now or in the Indian subcontinent. It is placing a fresh new demand on security professionals because these are big events which are business disrupting, which can impact employee travel, which can impact the way we conduct business in these geographies. And if some traveler is stuck, how do we exfiltrate that out and still advise business to navigate to success? So those are some potent challenges coming from the external environment that get placed before a CSO to advise crisis committee on what is their advice and what is the support structure operating to service this need. The second big change is around the IoT environment. So security function is slowly adopting a lot of tech, be it CCTV systems, access systems, intrusion systems, or the likes of any other common software and application that we use to manage our work. So for an organization like ours, and don't quote me for that, we are nearly 2.5 lakh employees, of which 2 lakh employees operate from India. And we have a huge demand on IoT security devices. So to give an example, We manage around 10,000 CCTV cameras in India alone. Now, when your organization is of that scale and you have to manage those many assets, and also, a corresponding access system which is capable of generating multiple alarms. So the big challenge is how do you manage your IoTs into the physical security domain? And how do you make them cyber resilient so that these IoTs are not exploited by adversary to launch a cyber attack onto the organization and security gets compromised. So truly the threat is changing. That is one big change which we are experiencing in the industry over a period of time, that the threat is now sitting at the midpoint of cyber and physical divide. So the threat is actually becoming cyber physical in nature, and it's truly not a physical threat or a digital threat to deal with when it comes to corporate security units. So truly, the demand on upskilling to address this type of nuance which is taking place and advising management on handling such threats, there is a lot that needs to be done across organizations, and we're happy that we are into that journey. The third issue is how are you structured? How are you structured for security in the organization? Typically, traditionally, in smaller organizations, one security manager, everything on his plate and end of it. With so much of change and dynamism in the environment, the security structure of a corporate security function should also evolve. For instance, I have a couple of center of excellence, one purely looking at technology, which looks at all the physical security technology, be it access system or CCTV system, intrusion system, visitor systems. And an expert coming from that background with a team of engineers manage that. So it's becoming a little technical there. The other aspect is the PII, with so much of data moving around in the ecosystem, which is coming into the plate of corporate security function through applications or manual system, mostly now through applications. How do you secure the PII? So that's another challenge, especially in Europe when GDPR came in and the type of penal provisions they have, and now India is adopting the DPDP Act and regulations are in discussion with public. So how do you really address a privacy concern of an individual and mask the data or manage that data? So that's another big challenge now because security systems have a role to play. Security departments have a role to play in terms of managing the privacy aspect. The third is the tech is changing by the day. So now it hear terms like artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence is being imbibed by companies, including in physical security functions. We do adopt a lot of AI into the physical security function. So how do you manage use cases around implementation of AI in your domain? Some of the cameras can deploy AI, some of the other stuff can deploy AI and still make decisions which humans make. So system integration between applications is a prerequisite to deploy AI, and there should be good system integration to deploy AI. The next level, of course, is device integration, so that if you have to run a hooter based on an alert in a camera or run a strobe light, how do you do device integration? So system integration and device integration layered with AI will see maturity over time in the physical security domain. The other aspect is skills of people. Are people skilled to handle this job? So there is a huge issue of talent shortage with people having the capability to manage the changing nuances, because change is fast. The skill is not changing as fast as the change in the environment. So the skill must also change fast to adopt, so that you have a pipeline of people to handle that. And then, of course, there is a lot of dependency which corporate units have on service provider and supplier ecosystem. One of the major stakeholders being guarding companies, which provide security guards for securing physical access and other procedures on material and vehicular and people movement. And now these companies are also under lot of pressure from corporate adopting technology slowly. It's slow, but it's there now. So how do guards log attendance? How a guard's data is available to you when he's onboarded? how do you convert this attendance to an invoice, because there is a compliance regulation on labor laws which must be met, and how do you then carry out e-compliance, e-invoice, e-training, because all of that, I think the new ecosystem is more digital, that you should be able to accomplish digital because there is integrity of data there as compared to a manual system, and it's easy to do. It generally will not fail if you run a system generated performance report on a company rather than a manual review. So technology is changing there. The integration of technology between supplier-led technology and corporate-led technology, it's still in its very infancy. Generally, a corporate does not allow the supplier technology to be integrated into the main network. Like access systems, a company like us would prefer to buy directly from the manufacturer, from a company like Honeywell or Troicos or Lenel or Genetec or such brands, to deploy a solution which is schematic and more standard. And then comes, of course, the system architecture there in terms of how it talks to other systems. Same for CCTVs. Generally, these assets will be bought directly by the company from the manufacturer and rarely from a private security agency. Smaller companies may still buy from private security agency where they don't want to do capex and really want to run it as a service. That is doable there. But still, they would remain isolated from the main network of the company, and they would work as an island. Now, when we look at integration, we put system onto our network that we buy and applications, and we keep supplier technology isolated from that, purely for data security reasons, because the confidence that the security companies have to imbibe onto a corporate, whether on ISO 27001 standard on information security, their organization on cyber defense, cyber security, management of technology, that part has not grown, unfortunately. So the legal side also on the privacy concern, even that part has not matured to that limit. So there is a lot of control coming from corporate into these systems to see that the information play is managed the way the law is and managed the way the corporate standard is. The other issue that we experience is standardization. Standardized experience of an employee or of a visitor across multiple sites. And that's a huge challenge before any global organization to deliver that experience in multiple sites in India and then, relay this out into the global environment. Because of change in people, attrition rates, difference and fragmentation in regulations, there will be a lot of nuances there in terms of how do we still deliver a standardized experience. So those are some of the changes, GB, and I am sure Suraj would agree with some of those in terms of how the ecosystem is evolving. Guarding service management will constitute a small share of work of CSOs and not a major share of work as it used to be 15 years back. That has totally transformed.
So thank you, Sanjay. I think that was very useful information that you shared, and I think the CM is likely to come in a few minutes. So I'll go over to Suraj and request him to share his thoughts with us that where he finds the private security industry interfacing with the financial services business that he manages through his various units around the country, and tell us what good things or what desirables that he still faces out of them.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the question, and of course the conversation has been really nice. There are a lot of different perspectives. Unlike all of you, maybe I'm kind of the outsider, neither from the guarding agencies or not from the law enforcement. Probably I'm the only one in the t-shirt as well. But let me give you my perspective as to where we come from. So the same disclaimers that Captain Sanjay alluded also applies to me. It's a viewpoint from a personal view. It's not a company view. But I think what we do, we are not we don't call ourselves as security professionals, though we are security professionals, but at the top of it, we are risk managers, meaning we are managing risk for the function. And in this case, the risk is physical security. And in certain cases, it is physical as well as cyber security because of the conversions. So what we do have to clearly articulate what type of business are we running, from which industry. Industry to industry, risk will differ. The risk appetite will be different. Within the same industry, there will be different risk for different units. Like for example, I talk about banks. The retail banks will have a different level of risk. The admin buildings within the banks will have a different level of risk. The data centers where we hold our data will have a different level of risk. And accordingly, cash vaults and other lockers will have a different level of risk. So what we do normally is we do a thorough risk assessment depending upon the risk appetite of the unit or the function or the industry. And with this risk assessment, we also have to understand the threat landscape, as Captain Sharma alluded. Depending upon both these factors and the risk appetite that the company has is when we start to design our physical security setup or arrangement or structure. Now let's go back to the basic. It is easy to say that put guards everywhere or put CCTV cameras everywhere or put access control everywhere. It doesn't work that way. It's not viable to have such heavy physical security for no rhyme or reason. So once a risk assessment is done based on the threat landscape and the risk appetite of the company, we create a design of what is the layer of security that we require for that specific industry, and within that specific industry, that unit or that office or that building. Now what we would do normally is harden the perimeter, and that's where the guarding agencies come in as our first line of defense, because even if you harden the perimeter, unlike what we would do in the army or the police forces, we will not allow anyone to come in. It's only the forces who are within the perimeter itself. But here it's different. We need to allow our employees to come, and the employees come in various different forms and shape. Some are full-time employees, some are full-time corporate contractors, some are vendors, some are cafeteria vendors, transport vendors. So we got to allow them in. Along with them, we also have to allow their cars, their bikes, their visitors. So the first layer of security from my standpoint is the perimeter. That's where the security guard comes in. Now, we can't have one type of guard managing all the layers of security. So the first layer, perimeter security, is where we'll have the best guard force. And to Sir's point, sir, we will have a competency matrix for each and every layer of security guard deployment within the building. Now, within the perimeter itself, the guard cannot be the single point of failure. That is why we have to get technology into the perimeter security per se. And that can be maybe a full height revolving door, meaning unless you are authenticated, you badge in or your face is read through a facial recognition, you can't enter into the facility and nobody can tailgate within the facility. Similarly, full height turnstiles or flap barriers or access control doors, again depending upon the risk appetite of the company. Now these two are the main front layers, and that is where we want to stop all the gray elements who we don't want them to enter into our facility, try and steal the data or harm our people. Now that's where the things becomes little tricky. Now we have multiple other functions. Now once you enter the perimeter, there will be a soft skill function, maybe giving you the badges, or there is a soft skill where you are registering the visitor, or there is a soft skill function that requires you to get your background verification done. Now that is also done by the physical security teams, but that level of guarding is different. They need to have a technology bent of mind. They need to be trained to use these systems, and more importantly, they have to have the soft skills. They cannot be, they cannot use the normal language that we would use or the guards would use to our visitors or to our clients or to our guests who come into our facility. So that competency level is different, and For them, obviously, we are ready to pay more. Now, then the third level is obviously when you have the entire building security, you have the command centers where you have access as well as CCTV cameras monitored live. And again, these are the system officers who are again part of the security team, different competency, different expectations, different requirements, and of course, the salary is also different. Once that is deployed, then we have the patrollers who go for emergency responses, medical, fire, water leakages. Again, a different set of guards who requires different training, who needs to have different capabilities. And again, we are ready to pay them different salaries. Now, this is the building security part of it. Now, let's look at our transportation security. So we are a company which we have 52,000 employees and more than 1,500 security guards. The 50% of the 1,500 security guards are our transportation security teams. They accompany our female employees if they are first pickup and last drop. Now these guards again needs to have specialized skills because they are not operating in the controlled environment of my hardened perimeter. They are actually going out into the environment along with one female employee and a driver into remote places where my employees come from. And that is why, sir, back to your point, these guards mandatorily have to be locals. If we are not able to get the 600 people via the local community, at least they would have spent 5 to 10 years in the local geography, meaning they should know obviously the local language, and it helps, and thankful to sir to bring it out. Secondly, they know the roads, they know the structure, they know where the utilities are, the hospitals and the police stations, and then they can respond if there is an emergency. Now that is a completely different competency, and we will hire them separately, we will pay them separately, they obviously only come during the night shifts. Now this is where there is a disconnect between a corporate as well as a guarding agency. Guarding agency will think that one guard can do all this job. Why do you need so many different competencies and different skill sets and different salaries? No, there is a requirement. And I think that's where there is a disconnect between the client's expectation versus what is brought to us. And I'm very happy to say that we do not consider our private security vendors as vendors, but as partners. I'm more than happy to say we do not actually consider the law enforcement agencies as regulators or someone we have to stay away from. We also consider them as partners and engage with them very proactively. I'm very happy that my teams interact with the local police stations. Our SHOs are very they are our well-wishers. They keep telling us what needs to be done. We use and leverage their expertise, experience. And in addition to that, we also have a small team which we call the Law Enforcement Coordination Team, which is actually manned by ex-police officers who gives us the viewpoints. They are consulting us on things because the workplace violence environment, especially after COVID, has changed. Every day there are, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bhagwat Saab wanted to make a quick point.
Yeah, just miss one point, that my request to all of you that please attend the problem when the problem is small related to security. All of you are aware that there is one saying, just because of one lack of horseshoe, the battle has been lost. So here I quote Bill Breton, who was the New York Police Commissioner. Twice he was New York Commissioner, and once upon a time New York was a city with all the murders, drugs, total inordinate kind of thing. And 93, this gentleman became the first commissioner. Then again 2013-14 he was a commissioner there, and he brought a system of the hotspot theory and broken window theory. The broken window theory says that this is a house and you are not using this house. One day someone has come and broken the window. Still you have not paid the attention. Next day people are coming and they are taking away the doors. So if you are not attending the problem when it is small, the big thing may happen. So security related issue, not to neglect any small thing. we must attend immediately. Thank you.
GB, can I add one point to that? Thank you.
A quick one,
So,
please.
quick one on what Suraj said in terms of utilization of guards for
Not just security intelligence, but business intelligence for their organizations and give it to their employees. So the journey from control room to the boardroom has been evolving for the security officer. And with that, with the Honorable CM having arrived, I'd like to, the Deputy CM having arrived, I would like to thank my panelists today for a wonderful interaction amongst themselves. And I also learnt, you always learn from hearing somebody's talk, a great deal of things about how our industry is evolved. So thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists for the invigorating discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have great honor and pride in welcoming our chief guest, Deputy Chief Minister, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Mallu Bhatti Vikramarka Garu, who is also our Finance and Planning Minister and Energy Minister. Welcome, sir. We resume.
డాన్స్ అసలు ఆయన పేరు ఎందుకు ఎక్కువ వెల్కమ్
Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the chief guest. I request Shri C. Shekhar Reddy Garu to please welcome our chief guest with a bouquet.
the others requested the Major General.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to welcome our esteemed guest, Major General Harsh Chibbar. I beg your pardon, please. Major General Harsh Chibbar, Vishisht Seva Medal, Commandant at College of Defence Management, Secunderabad. An alumnus of NDA, he was commissioned into the Indian Army in 1988. Ladies and gentlemen, may I take the privilege to welcome our Chief Guest of Honor, Shri Kunwar Vikram Singh Ji. Shri Kunwar Vikram Singh Ji has a vast experience as Chairman, President and Second Vice President of the World Association of Detectives. He has been a legendary personality in the private security industry and was instrumental towards creating Private Security Agency Regulation Act, which was passed by the Parliament in the year 2005.
Mr. Prashant, EC Joint Secretary, HCSC, to give a memento.
May I request Mr. Prashant Garu, Joint Secretary, HCSC, to please give a bouquet to our chief guest, our guest of honor, I beg your pardon, our guest of honor, Shri Kunwar Vikram Singh Ji Garu.